Two Kids and a Career is a production of Jill Devine Media.
I don't know these things because just
Totally.
because you're a parent doesn't mean you know how to do it all. Like I know
Totally,
how to
totally.
do love. I am A plus in love, but there are different ways that you speak to the kids. It's just crazy to me, like all of the different facets when it comes to education and kids, and it's just
Oh, totally. I think every parent has a new appreciation for teachers if they didn't
yes,
already before
yes,
because wow,
yeah.
there's just so much that goes into that and they are not even appreciated nearly as much as they should be.
Two Kids in a Career is brought to you by Blondin Real Estate. They're a family owned boutique style brokerage with over 40 years of experience serving the counties that surround St. Louis. See the properties they have to offer at blondinrealestate.com. That's blondinrealestate.com. Hi there, and welcome to Two Kids in a Career. I'm Jill Devine. As an entrepreneur, wife, and mama, the daily grind of trying to build a business while taking care of kids and trying to maintain a healthy connection with my hubby, it's a lot. With this podcast, you're going to hear candid conversations with other moms, parenting experts who can share their knowledge and insight, or you'll just hear me rambling to get it all out. There's going to be tears, there's going to be laughter, but most importantly, there will be support. Take a listen and connect with me so we can grow and learn from one another. This is Two Kids and a Career. Okay, I have to tell you that for this week's guest, I really felt like when we were communicating through email that I was like, she should be on Shark Tank. This woman's got it going on. But let me introduce Morgan to you. But first, let me tell you how I know about Morgan. Now, if you have been a pretty loyal listener, you know from episode 53 in season 5, that's organization should be an official love language. And that's when I had Kelly Johnson on. She is the owner of Organized Interiors here in St. Louis. And she reached out to me and said, hey, with this small business support that you like to do and women supporting women, I think that you should talk to Morgan Clark. And I said, oh, well, what's up with Morgan? And she said, well, have you heard of STL Sitter? And I had, but I didn't know much about STL Sitter. And that's where the email started. And that's when I was just like dropping my jaw at everything that Morgan you're doing. So first, thanks for taking the time to be on the podcast. You're so busy.
Oh my God, thank you. I'm excited to chat with you.
In 2015, you launched what you called your babysitting side hustle called STL Sitter. And I want to know a little bit about that. I want to know what's happening now, but most importantly, I want to know about Morgan Clark and who you are and things that you love and things that you don't love. And then we'll get into the good stuff as far as small businesses and how we can help one another and what you're doing for this awesome community.
Yeah, let's jump right in. So, the quick version of my story, I grew up in St. Louis. I left to attend college at Ohio State University. I
Wait,
traveled.
Morgan, you cannot say you grew up in St. Louis and not answer the most popular
Oh my God.
question.
Okay, Whitfield School, which I still love to this day. We work with them and a lot of their staff. That's where I went to high school, and that's where my
Okay.
husband went to high school.
Okay, I'll stop interrupting. Now you can go on.
No, you're good. So I graduated. I sort of delayed the inevitable of starting a job by traveling a little bit. And then in 2013, I moved home to St. Louis and I was still delaying the inevitable. And I was working a few side gigs. I became a licensed real estate agent. And once I started working in the community and I started having conversations with parents daily about babysitting and nannying, and I began a recurring job for one family in particular that had 7 kids. And now,
Woo.
with retrospect, I can look back and determine that it was during that time specifically that I learned so much about myself and about what families need and what moms need and how complicated family dynamics are and tragedy and childhood development and all that kind of stuff. And so I got sort of a firsthand experience at the positive impact that support can have on a family unit when I was only like 21 or 22. So, um, I knew that I could streamline that process and deliver to the parents that needed help with relative ease. So I jumped right in at starting STL Sitter at 25. And here we are today, like 6 years later, and it has totally evolved into just a complete operation.
Tell me, though, about STL Sitter, though, that has made it into a complete operation, because when you and as a mom, but we haven't even gotten to that part yet, but when it comes to someone watching your children, I mean, I'm gonna do investigative work and somebody that I don't know, and so that's what I wanna know about STL Sitter.
Totally. You hit the nail on the head. So, what parents and what moms wanted was someone to do all of that sort of investigative legwork for them. There's tons of apps, there's care.com, there's all those things that we cannot compete with. They have massive APIs and tons of tech money. But what we do is specialize in this really niche concierge support. So, yes, we're a babysitting service. And yes, we have this brand new technology that I'm really excited to talk about.
Mhm.
But more than that, our members are able to book our sitters and we do all the legwork. So, we interview them, we pre screen them, we train them, we keep them accountable through member feedback. And we have an entire team of managers who operate this busy office. And so, our niche is really to provide parents with the support that they need in getting an amazing sitter, and doing all that research and all that investigative stuff that busy parents are just not having time to do right now.
Exactly, and oh, man, yeah, that's a whole thing. I can't believe you figured this out at 25. Who would have thought, right?
I know, it's so funny. So when back when I was first doing this, people loved to talk about my age and how I was 25. And now in retrospect, I look back, I'm 32 with a child, and I'm like, uh, I don't know if I could have done it at 32 with a child. Like 25 with single is like so much time on your hands, and not a whole lot of other commitments and responsibilities. And so for me, it was like the ideal time, and I didn't even realize it, because life just gets chaotic as you get older, as you know, and as the babies start to come and as all the responsibilities start to pile up.
I know, I keep some people keep trying to remind me, like, "You're in a season, Jill." Just I've been having a really difficult time. Like, I chose 2021, my year for or my word for 2021, to be self-care, and
Yes.
I can't honestly say, and not joking, that that was the smartest word to choose, because I mean, self-care has to happen, but
Mhm.
because of my girls' ages, and I don't think that I am giving myself grace, and I don't feel like I'm giving myself, um, I don't know exactly the words to use to realize, like, "Hey, they're 2 and 4, and
Mhm.
you can't do everything." And now, does that mean I should completely, uh, forego everything, like self-care, and take care of myself? No.
Mm.
I mean, that's the opposite of what
Right.
I should do. However, I'm trying to understand there are certain things I cannot do, and this goes into a conversation I had with a woman I work with. She had talked about how it was like 8:30 in the morning, and she said, "Oh, I already got my steps in." I said, "You already got your steps in? What time did you wake up?" And she told me like 5 in the morning. And I said, "Why? That's the last thing that I would want to do." And I know that a lot of people do get their exercise in the morning because they don't have time later on, or they won't do it. And then I started beating myself up, and she's like, "But you can't leave your girls to go for a walk or for a run, Jill." And I said, "Yeah, you're right, because my husband is working, but at the same time, Morgan, I'm so tired that I try to I'm like, I need the sleep." So it's just
Yes.
this one crazy, like, going back to everything that you were saying about being single and having the time, and then not having the time because of kiddos, like, that's just kind of the reality that I'm still trying to tell myself and give myself a little grace on.
Oh, totally. And I think that I don't think that ever changes. I find myself asking myself all the time, who's setting these expectations for me? Am I setting
Mhm.
them? Am I allowing someone else's life to set those expectations? If I have a day where I don't get anything done and it's just, one of those days, you can easily let those feel like, a loss. But in
Yeah.
retrospect, thinking back, you got to spend maybe the day with your child, or you got to do something else. And so not to really place a value on how hard we work or how much we got done in a day. And I still struggle with that. I'm constantly thinking like, oh, I only got 2 things off my list today, but then thinking of all of the other things that go into life besides this.
That's smart. Now tell me about your baby. How old, and boy, girl?
Yes, I have a little dude. His name is Henry, and he's
I love
almost
it.
2, and
Okay.
he is wild and so much fun and has just rocked my world.
Rocked your world, good and bad.
Good, yeah, all the things, like that first
Yep.
kid is just like, wow, a lot.
Yep. Mhm.
But you wouldn't change it for anything. So
Nope.
he's awesome. We're gonna get him in school soon, so we're excited about that. And
So when you decided to take a little bit of a break to have Henry, and this is a break from STL Sitter, and then you come back when why did a lot of us, well, we didn't know because 2020, who knew? But it's just so crazy, like, how many people I've talked to who either, like me, launched a business or came back and revisited in March when COVID decides to hit us. So, oh, what happened? What did you do? Because listen, people aren't using babysitters because they can't go anywhere.
desperation drives creativity, I guess, is what is what I've read. But yeah, it was so I took an extended maternity leave. I'd been working really hard the last 5 years to get the business up and where it was, and really wanted to take some time to really just enjoy Henry being in that newborn phase. And so yeah, when I came back with COVID, it was a little bit of a smack in the face in terms of not only was the world closing down and people were obviously skeptical of having strangers in their house, but we had this big um, technology shift where we needed a platform to continue to operate our business. So we were kind of hit with a double whammy, and I had really no choice but to roll up my sleeves and get to work and figuring out a way to not only save what we had worked for, but make it even better. And so that's what we did.
I'm going to interrupt the conversation with Morgan for just a minute to talk to you about Blonde in Real Estate, one of the sponsors of the podcast. And as I say in lots of different episodes, and also when I talk about Blonde in Real Estate, you have lots of choices. And it's a thing that, sometimes it's a struggle. Like, how do I choose? What do I do? What sets this business apart from another? And I will tell you, with Blonde in Real Estate, if you go to blondeinrealestate.com, you will see right there why you should choose Blonde in Real Estate. I do that with a lot of different businesses or products that I'm considering. I go to their website and I just see what they're about. And you can just tell, you can just get that sense of, okay, this is what I need to go with. And at blondeinrealestate.com, you will see that, from buying to selling a home, to giving advice on decorating your home, to giving advice on the different mortgages and what you should do. They are there for you, and they are there for you in a big way. Blondeinrealestate.com. It's a great choice. I've made that choice and I am very happy with it, and I know you will be as well. All right, back to the conversation with Morgan and what she's got going on. Okay, can you talk a little bit about, so that I understand, the technology before to lead to what you're doing now. And this is back to the beginning of this episode. This is where I refer it to as like this Shark Tank moment for me when I was reading your email.
Yeah, for sure. So, like most other businesses, entrepreneurs, there's outlets for them like Etsy and like Squarespace and things like that for small businesses to run and use a technology platform. Unfortunately, with babysitting, there is no platform like that currently available. So, when we were in the middle of trying to figure out if we could get Square to work with what we were doing and get all these other scheduling APIs to work, we really just determined that what we've created doesn't exist really anywhere. And so we jumped right in with a technology team to build the website that allows everything to happen under one umbrella on our system. So members onboard on our system, families create profiles, they enter their children's information, and then from there, our staff can work with the technology to find the absolute best matches for families. And by integrating this technology, we're able to keep our costs down really low for the family so that it can still be a really affordable childcare option.
Okay. So you have no background in this? Like
No, I'm a communications and textiles major. And now we're running a tech operation, and I laugh about it with my husband every day because we're probably the most underqualified people doing this. But that's 2021, I guess.
Oh, yeah, everything is different, you know? I mean, sure, why not? Add that to your list. Okay, so talk to me about Smart Sitter because this is the technology that you created.
Totally. So basically, like anyone else, you have processes in your business. One thing happens and then the next thing happens, and so we basically outlined all of those processes and sent them to a developer who was able to work with us an entire year on building those processes to fit exactly what fits for our needs. So hiring babysitters, getting them in the system, getting all their documents, their background checks, getting their schedules, their calendars, their sick days, all of those things into the platform. And so today we are working on fine tuning that technology so that STL Sitter is running like a fine tuned machine. And once we have that finalized this spring, I will be releasing the Kickstarter book that comes out with the technology so that other people who are interested in creating one of these services in their own town can use those as resources to launch their own STL sitter. And hopefully, I can empower them to do exactly what I've done here.
So almost is franchise the right word or no? I mean, is it
So no,
similar or no?
we've tried to simplify it. And so what we're offering is a licensing agreement. So how it will work essentially is that any mom or parent or anyone who wants to start one of these in their community will start their own business, and we will provide them with a licensing agreement so that they are able to just license our technology. So they can put their own spin on it and make it their own community feel, and we will just support them with the technology so that their operation runs smoothly.
So there could be, an ATL sitter, there could be, um, well, I don't know all the cities that I
Of
could list
course,
off right now.
yes. Yeah, so the last 5 years or 6 years, we have gotten so many emails over the last and everyone is a lot of people have reached out and said, "Hey, have moved. I used your services and I moved to Atlanta, and I am dying to start one of these. Can you help me?" And I've never been in a position to help them before because, this is an operation in and of itself. But I'm excited to sort of jump into that space and see what we can do in terms of building these communities everywhere because every parent deserves to have support for their kids and for their family. And I know that it can make a big impact.
Okay, so talk to me though about the sitters that you hire because something that you said and that I would like to I don't even really know how to get a little bit more info on it, but when you said that you were doing was it nannying you said or just for the 7 kids or just I mean, I didn't know if you were considered a nanny, a babysitter, or
Yeah.
all encompasses the same thing, I don't know. But you said that you learned so much and not not just about, like, schedules, like, life-altering stuff. So, obviously, that has to be taken in consideration when it comes to hiring your sitters.
Totally. And that is probably the number one thing that has propelled us is focusing on quality, 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 quality. Our sitters are students, a lot of Washington University students, SLU students, undergrad, graduate, law school, you name it. And they are top notch. They show up, they are not afraid to roll up their sleeves, they get in there, and they are so talented. And they are such an important part of what we do because if we were not providing quality, we would be another, small babysitting service that is, just getting by. And that is not what we've seen with STL Sitter. We have seen, moms rave about the quality on top of everything else, which is, the affordability and the convenience, which is important for working and busy families. But it's the quality that really sets us apart. So we've hired a team that really that is their main goal is to find talent and to train them and to hold them accountable so that we have a pool of providers that um, are really, and I know I'm a little biased, but I think some of the best that you can find in St. Louis.
When you talk about them being students, is it a situation where some of them are wanting to get into early education or education as it is, and so they have a little bit of that background on how to s deal with kiddos?
You nailed it. I mean,
Okay.
that is really it. We have families who have children with special needs, and we have um, sitters who are doing clinicals, and, specifying in that specific thing, and so they match up with each other, and it literally is like you can see the benefits to the sitter and the benefits to the family and so many different scenarios like that. It's like you nailed the head on the head with education too. I mean, this year alone we've gotten so many requests from families who are a little bit feel like their kids are might be a little bit behind because of last year, and so they want a second grade teacher or a third grade teacher. And so the amazing part about this service is that the sitters being in college, they have that sort of niche availability, and experience, but they also have that availability. So, like, maybe they only
Yes.
have class on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and so, they have you have a Monday, Wednesday sitter available for you for the entire semester, and so they can give you that commitment and, are able to work with you and work with a multitude of different schedules, which makes them so unique. They're like little unicorns, and we love every single one of them.
Well, I mean, as soon as I asked that question and you said yes, I immediately knew I had to tell you about our situation with our girls. So in March of last year, they were going to a place that closed down. They were at a school. It just broke our heart. Like I cried so much because I thought this is the place where I had planned on sending our girls until they were in kindergarten. We loved the staff. It was just devastating. And long story short, obviously things happen for a reason. And so the oldest being 4, she is back in school, which is great. The youngest being 2, th- she can't be where we want her to be because it goes by the school year and the age. So when my husband and I were thinking about, well, what are we going to do? Because for us,
Mhm.
this is us. We feel it's important that they are in some sort of environment to learn because I can't teach them.
Totally.
I can't
Totally.
I can't teach them. And I know that there are plenty, and even my mom has said, like, "You and your sister did not go to school until you were in kindergarten." And I totally respect that. Whichever way you wanna do it, I think each family, it's up to you. For me and for my husband and for my sanity, they need to have somebody else teach them. So, I was just distraught, like, "What are we gonna do?" And I thought of a couple of the women who had lost their jobs because
Mhm.
the center closed down. And it was super important to me because I hate to even say, "Oh, Charlie's babysitter is over today."
Right.
I don't even like, she's a teacher, she's a babysitter, she is, just
Your right
so much
hand,
more.
right?
Yeah. And so, like, I said it was super important when I asked her if she would be willing to come over, 1 or 2 days a week. I said, what I'm really looking for though is that you can take that education piece that you were doing with her and
Mhm.
apply it to here. Is that something that you can do? And she said, absolutely. And we see it. Like, I see the crafts that they make. It's a whole different level. It's more than just a babysitter, and,
Totally.
that's just super important to me, so that I love that, Morgan, like, that definitely does set you apart.
Yeah, and I think and that was one of the big frustrations too from our moms that we're hearing is that, babysitters are sitting the kids in front of the TV or
Yeah,
they're, just not attentive or and that's another aspect where we can really try to step in and really try to set standards for our sitters and for our families, and so that everyone has sort of the same level of expectations of the quality that they're getting in terms of the sitters and the families, and it's sort of an unregulated industry. It's like the wild wild west out there. So
right.
being able to sort of give support to families and also to people like you who have a very specific need that you're looking for, and be able to really help with that specific need because like you said, every family is so incredibly different, and what
Yeah.
works for one family obviously doesn't work for another, so we're trying to just fill that void and help wherever we can.
Adding to that, each child is different, and
Oh
so
my
I
god.
wanna be able to have someone who is versed in helping maybe my two-year-old who might be a little more emotional and stubborn than the four-year-old, and then she has certain needs that need to be met, and the two-year-old has certain needs that need to be met, and if you just have one person like, I'm learning. I am learning
Mhm.
from her that, certain ways to talk to Lou and then certain ways to talk to Charlie. Like, I don't know these things because just
Totally.
because you're a parent doesn't mean you know how to do it all. Like, I know
Totally,
how
totally.
to do love. I am A plus in love, but there are different ways that you speak to the kids. It is just crazy to me, like all of the different facets when it comes to education and kids and, it's just,
Oh, totally. I think every parent has a new appreciation for teachers if they
yes.
didn't already before
Yes.
because wow,
Yeah,
there's just so much that goes into that and they are not even appreciated nearly as much as they should be.
totally. I 100% agree. It breaks my heart because I know that it's just overdrive even more than it was before the pandemic. And then add on to some kids just it's harder for them now. And yeah, as a teacher, from my understanding, it just doesn't leave. You just can't go home and not think about it, even though you need to.
Right.
So talk me through in our final minutes together, like what a parent does. I mean, so I'm just going to say, Morgan, I have never gone on the site to inquire about a sitter, and hubby and I need to have a safe date night out. And so, what do we do?
Yes. So there's two options. If you have already heard about us from a million people and you already trust the idea and you're all in, you just log in and you start booking yourself a sitter. If
Okay.
you are like, whoa, 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 I need to do some research here. I'm nervous. We have prepared for that too. So you can call us anytime. We have a manager on duty 24/7, 365. We have a business iPhone. So like if there's an emergency at 10 o'clock at night, you better bet that we will be on it.
Oh my gosh,
And
that's
so
awesome.
for families who want more information or have a specific situation, you can schedule through our Calendly link. It's a 15-minute courtesy call, totally complimentary. Katie or Kathy or Ashley, someone on our team, will just listen to your situation and will give you the best advice that they can give you based on where you're at. And sometimes that means not working with us and maybe they can push you in a different direction. Other times they're able to sort of, lay out your options in terms of short term and long term care and what we can provide. But no matter what, just get on the phone and pick up a conversation with someone who's willing to listen and someone who's willing to help. And that's a perfect place to start, because you'll be able to determine if we can help you and what level of help you need, and really start to build a relationship with our team, because we're here to help, and that's hopefully we're here to take away all of that sort of burden of the stress of finding someone and keeping someone, and the changing schedules and the rotating schedules and all of that stuff. And so stlsitter.com 24/7 if you need us, or if you need more concierge approach, set up a time to chat, and we're always here.
What's that phone number?
So the phone number is 314-625-8420, and then stlsitter.com. And once you become a member, you will have created sort of an online portal for yourself, and you'll be able to keep track of all of your appointments, upcoming, past appointments, look at provider profiles and pictures and all of that good stuff, so that you can really find a match that works with your family.
And I'll have all of this online with the show notes at jilldevine.com. Last minute thoughts, last minute
Oh my
anything,
God, I hope
Morgan.
people are still listening. I can't stand the sound of my own voice. So
Stop
thank
it.
you so much for having me. I so appreciate it. And thanks for supporting women and supporting business owners. We appreciate it more than you know.
Here we go with this week's Supermom shout out. It is coming from Marcy, and it's going to Kim of Columbus, Ohio. So Marcy says, here's the why. You'd never know her life had so many moving pieces, because Kim shows up present wherever she goes in person and online. She runs a photography business, an Etsy shop, and is a copywriter for a magazine while raising 3 children under the age of 7 and juggling the demands of single parenting when her husband is at the fire station. As I was making final preparations the night before my 2 now adopted children moved in, Night Owl Kim texted and asked if there was anything we didn't think about that we still needed. I replied, a wall coat rack for backpacks. She told me not to do any research, but to tell her width and color. She presented options, and my husband and I got to pick the one we liked best. And 6 years later, those same hooks continue to be a daily part of my family's lives. I hope you'll look favorable in shining a spotlight on Kim's caring heart. Absolutely, Marcy. Kim, I see you and I support you. And if you have a Supermom nomination, all you have to do is email me, hello@jilldevine.com. Tell me why you're nominating her, and I also need her name and where she's from. And it's that simple. She'll be featured in an upcoming episode of 2 Kids and a Career. And speaking of 2 Kids and a Career, thank you for supporting it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing it with your friends and your family. I have a favor to ask you. Can you subscribe and rate and review? So whatever platform you are using to listen to this episode, you can subscribe, and that helps get my podcast in the hands of others, because the more subscribers it has, the more it can get noticed. And also, if you're listening through Apple Podcasts, if you rate and review, that also helps out a lot. So I'm asking for a little bit of help so that I can get others to hear the amazing guests that I have on. And maybe there is somebody that will take something away from one of the episodes. That's my hope, at least. At least one person will take something away from one of the episodes. So thank you in advance, and thanks for listening to 2 Kids and a Career.